So dear friends, we are once again back, and month of February is just getting warm, and soon we are going to enter what's called the Lenten season. Before that, it's the last Sunday before the Lenten season. It's called the seventh Sunday of the year, and we have a beautiful message. Let me begin with the message of this week or this Sunday. There are two dominant themes. One is of holiness, another one is of goodness. Perhaps both of them go together also. The first reading speaks about holiness. Who is holy? God is holy. And we are also called to be holy. In fact, St. Paul in the second letter says that our body is like a temple. You know what's a temple? You don't do evil things in the temple. You are very respectful. You are just perhaps so much enamored with the beauty of the temple, with the aura of holiness there, that you surely don't do any bad things there. The gospel is a masterpiece. Perhaps the heart of Christianity lies in this gospel, wherein Jesus says that we are required to do good, even in the case of evil. You know, when good is done to you, to do good to the one who has done good to you is normal. But to do good to the person who has done evil, perhaps someone may say it's a foolishness. It's a foolishness because the rule of the world is an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. That's the axiom of the world. And therefore, to take revenge, to teach a lesson, that's not Christian, but it's the normal world ethics, or perhaps what we can call the world philosophy. And so Jesus says, perhaps someone has done evil to you. Your natural instinct is to pay him back. But instead, Jesus says, pay him back with good. With good. And Jesus gives a lot of examples. If someone asks you to walk a mile with him, take an extra mile, he says. You know, the last Sunday also had this sort of understanding. And if someone slaps you, you know, the natural inclination is to slap him back. Jesus says, if he slaps him on your right cheek, show him your left cheek also. And if you have a quarrel with somebody, perhaps instead of taking him to the court, on the way to the court, if you can reconcile, you will save the money of the court, you will save your time, and you will have gained a friend. This is the heart of Jesus' philosophy, to do good, even in the case where evil is done to you. You know, the ultimate example of Jesus himself on the cross, when everybody cursed him, when everybody crucified him, he prays for his enemies. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. It's as good as a slap in the face of those people, all those who wished him evil, that he is praying for their goodness. So therefore, this is the essence of the goodness that comes out of our holiness. As I said, both the themes go together. You cannot be holy without being good, and goodness doesn't remain at that. It develops into us an aura of holiness. So my dear friends, let us take a good lesson from this, because every day we have hundreds of instances where we have to pay back. My husband has done this, perhaps I will try to teach him a lesson. My wife has done this, and it's normal, I should wait for a chance to hit out. Or perhaps in business, someone has insulted me, or someone has done me enough harm, as it were, in business. I have to wait and look out. But Jesus says, give him good, smile at him. You know, there's a beautiful stories also that have been weaved out of this goodness of Jesus, instead of our hatred, our enmity, our hostile attitude, that we can make this world a better place to live in. I now take you to the second point that is marked here, what we call the Ash Wednesday and the Lenten practices. First of all, what is Ash Wednesday? What is Lenten season? A Lenten season is a season of 40 days, a sort of a preparation of 40 days. And you may ask me, what are we preparing for? We are preparing for the mystery of the suffering, death and resurrection of Jesus. This is the ultimate mystery of our salvation, that Jesus suffered, He died for us, but He rose again. And so these 40 days are days of preparation, as it were, leading up to that Paschal event. And so these 40 days, we have three main, perhaps, themes that we take. First of all, prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. Pray because, we can run, we can go fast, but some way you need to slow down. You need to perhaps stay, watch, and see how things are. There's something called exams. We prepare the whole year, but we prepare for that exam, and we prepare for that exam. So also in life, there are many things that we are running, we are jumping, we are skipping, we are escaping also. So Lent is a time for us to reflect about our life. How am I doing? What am I after? What are the things that are most important in my life? Who are the persons who are most important in my life? Why am I getting more and more perhaps worked up? Why am I getting angry? Why am I losing my patience? There are many things that we can get. I was visiting a friend of mine who was in the hospital. It was a small accident, not a small accident. He broke his leg, but then he had a reason to say that I needed this accident or this breaking of my leg to come and sit in this hospital, sleep in this hospital, so that I could slow down. He took it well that God gives sometimes certain things in our life to make us go slow, to reflect to our life, to enjoy this peace, this innocence, the goodness of others. So many people coming and serving you when you're in the hospital. So also the Lenten season is a 40-day season for us. First of all, as I said, to pray. Secondly, fasting. But why fasting? Perhaps physically, fasting is very important these days. Many people want to slim and trim, as it were. And fasting also helps us physically to get off those fats, as it were. But then it's not just a fasting of the mind, the body, the soul. The body, of course, we have to reduce certain foods, eat certain things that are perhaps more healthy for us. At the same time, we say that we depend not just on food alone. There are many other things. Man does not live on bread alone, but many things that are important for him. And the fasting helps us. And fasting is not only of the body, it's also of the mind. To control our mind, our imaginations, our desires, our intentions. Fasting of the soul, to enjoy this peace at home. Perhaps at home, I say, or perhaps in some other place that you can enjoy this peace. And thirdly, almsgiving. Almsgiving is helping the poor. In fact, perhaps fasting is also connected with the alms with the poor, because whatever you fast, whatever you save, perhaps someone else has need of it. There are some poor people who have not much to eat. There are some people perhaps who need some help and support, and therefore almsgiving is one way of downloading or perhaps shedding off the extra things that we have. And surely we have so many extra things. Perhaps I have some clothes that I can share with others, or perhaps I can have some food or something that I can share with others. I can surely share my money with others, those who need. And so in the Lenten season, the Church also gives us certain occasions, certain reasons in order to sacrifice and help and support others. In this Lenten season, perhaps we can save a little and think of those people who have lost their houses and lives in Syria and Turkey. As you have heard, almost 35,000 people are supposed to have died there. The houses are flat, and perhaps we can sacrifice a little for their sake. Now, what are the things perhaps that you can do in order to, I would say, enjoy the Lenten season? First of all, the CCBI gives us certain small things that we can do and enjoy the Lenten season. First of all, attend Holy Eucharist if possible every day, if not every day, at least on certain days of the week. I'm so happy when I go to some churches early in the morning. Sometimes I go to the Basilica, 6 o'clock, the church is full. The church is full. Perhaps the people have a way to say that, let me begin the day with the Eucharist. Perhaps may not be possible the whole year, but it is the Lenten season. Secondly, spend at least 15 minutes in prayer before the Blessed Sacrament. Before the Blessed Sacrament. Sometimes you may not be able to go for Mass, Eucharist. Evening when you return for work, perhaps you are passing by a church, just to stop. Jesus, I am here. I can't come every day, but today I am stopping by. At least some time, just to think, just to refresh yourself before Jesus. Thirdly, read the Bible every day for at least 15 minutes. I say Bible because it's the Word of God. It's the inspiration for our life. There are some secrets in the Bible which we have not yet been realized. There are some answers and solutions in the Bible. I'm looking for solutions. Perhaps I'm going to the therapists, I'm going to counselors, I'm going here, I'm reading books, I'm reading this one. But maybe it's in your Bible, the reading that you take a chance, or perhaps continued reading, God may speak to you. You can also spend at least 15 minutes on the meditation of the Passion of our Lord. Perhaps even the way of the cross, when you see Jesus falling for the first time. Why did he have to fall? Jesus being humiliated in that crowd. Every moment is very important, and every moment of Jesus' passion could be your meditation. Fifthly, as I said, it could be also fasting. Lenten season is a good season to fast. I am addicted to certain things. Perhaps I would like to take a drink every day. But if I could fast, I would like to eat sweets every day. Perhaps if I could fast a little, control my health, control my body, control my, inclinations. Maybe I have another types of vices that I'd like to read something bad every day, or see some TV, or perhaps something bad every day. Perhaps I can do fasting of my eyes, fasting of my ears, fasting of my mouth, speak less. I can do it. Then also we can speak on the, as I said, the way of the cross. I can make the way of the cross itself, the different stations, maybe in the church or even privately. There are certain books or booklets which we can take at home and meditate on the 14 stations of the Lord. As regards food, if possible, as far as possible, we say, have we call abstinence and vegetable food. Of course, we cannot have meat or meaty products on the Good Friday and also Ash Wednesday. These are the 2 days. Also on the Fridays of the Lenten season, it's better that we avoid the meats. But in general, I would be very happy if we go what's called vegan, the vegetable diet. It's very healthy. And lastly, at least some little charity for the poor. The church speaks of what's called 1/10. At least 10% of what I earn in this month, I see to it that it goes for the poor, for the needs of the church, for the needs of the others, not for my own self. Perhaps this is the way we can celebrate the Lenten season. I now take you to the message of the Holy Father in the Lenten season. Every year the Holy Father gives a message for the Lenten season. And this year he has given a beautiful message basing himself on what's called the Tabor incident, the Tabor pericope, Tabor miracle, or rather the events of Tabor. You might remember in the Gospel of Matthew chapter 17 or so, Jesus takes his disciples to that Mount of Tabor, and there he is transfigured before them. And they become so much dazzled, he becomes so much white and perhaps shining that the disciples, they are just blinded, and they make some demands or requests to Jesus. Let us stay here only. Let us build a tent for Moses, for Elijah, and for all these things, And Jesus tries to tell them that surely going up the mountain is a retreat, is a place of prayer. But at the same time, we can't remain forever on the mountain. We have to go down. We have to go down to the people, and therefore we have to be realistic. And therefore the Holy Father creates this message around this episode of the Tabor experience of the disciples. I am publishing it in our circular so that you can read the message of the Holy Father in the Lenten season. I just take you to what we call the MACHIME, or the Sound and Light program that takes place at Mariapura Parish. I've just been there the last week. Father Thomas, the parish priest, has raised a big statue about 30-40 feet high, and that also in a high place, and the whole height from the ground must be at least 70 to 80 feet, the statue of Saint Anthony. So in this same place, Father A. Thomas of Mariapura, since many years, in the Lenten season, he creates a sound and light program that is exhibited at night, say about from 9 to 10 o'clock at night, and the whole night the people, thousands of people are watching it. I must say it's a very moving experience to see so many people in silence watching the events or the drama, the sound and light program there. And Father Thomas, who is a scholar, who knows the Bible, who knows the history and the traditions of our Archdiocese also in many ways, many times he speaks of it, and also the Bible. So every year he takes up a theme that is dominant in his sound and light program. And it's exhibited in a very artistic sense with dance, with music, with songs, with singing, with skits. And so that the people are evangelized, or rather catechized in some way. There are many Catholics who come, perhaps even the non-Catholics, who get this sort of an education through the surroundings, to the sound and light. And so this year he has taken the theme of the book of Maccabees. The book of Maccabees, as you may know, those who open the Old Testament and New Testament, it's almost the last books of the Old Testament. There are two books, the Maccabees 1, Maccabees 2. And so in short, the history of the Maccabees is such a time, perhaps in the 2nd century BC, before Christ. And there was this tension between the Israelites, the Jews, and the Hellenists, or that's the Greeks. So therefore, this particular portion of Israel is won over, conquered by the dynasty of Seleucid, and he establishes his kingdom there, and a certain king by name Antiochus is named there. He is very much against the Jews. He wants to throw away the Jewish customs and traditions and bring so many pagan sort of practices there. And therefore there is this fight between the Maccabees. The Maccabees are a rebel soldiers, as it were, a rebel generation that has come to fight these people, and so they oppose them, especially when they touch their religious customs and systems. The main story, the main heroes of Maccabees is a mother with 7 children. It's a beautiful story, how a mother can inspire the 7 children with strong faith, and the faith as strong as the rock, as it were. And so this particular king, in order to give an example to the others, at the same time to insult this mother and the sons, he tells and he makes his edict known to everybody that those who do not eat the particular meat that has been given by the kings and his servants will have to die. And the meat that was forbidden for the Israelites that time was the meat of the pork. The pork was forbidden, but that was the most important test for them to see whether they will eat or not. And we see the beautiful drama wherein the first one is called and he refuses and he is killed. The second one, the third one, the fourth one, and you can see a mother who is losing like the 7 packs, as it were, one by one her children who are sacrificed. The last one remains. and they work on the last one. They tell the mother also, this is your last son. And the son also has been told that this is your mother. Perhaps you are the only one who can look after her, this thing. But nothing influences him. In fact, the mother tells the boy very strongly, you are my son. But then, if you do not do what our ancestors have told us, namely not to eat the forbidden food, I will not be able to call you my son. You will be not, I have nursed you, I have brought you up, and so son, keep it up. A mother asking her son to sacrifice himself. You know what great sacrifice the mother must have done. So it's a beautiful story which Father Thomas is going to put up there among the people. And as I said, we appreciate his efforts for evangelization, for proclamation. But this should not remain only as a drama as such. We also have to put into practice these principles, the basic principles of our religion, of remaining faithful to God and not to betray our God in any way, in any of our things, by words, by our deeds, by our evil things that we should not be doing. And therefore, I encourage all of you to go and see this particular Sound and Light program and benefit by it. It's on 25th of February at 9 o'clock. It begins at 9 o'clock at night. It's on Saturday, 25th of February, goes up to early dawn. There is a beautiful question. There are two different questions here. The first question is, Lent will start shortly from Ash Wednesday. What are the preparations that we need to focus on? You know, when you are going for a journey, you make your preparations. You can't take everything on your journey. Perhaps if you've got 3 suitcases or 3 suitcases full of things in your room, you have to contain them into one particular suitcase, one particular place, or perhaps things that you can take. So also for the Lenten season, there are many people who prepare for it. Prepare it in a good way. They don't take any heavy work during that time. They don't take perhaps heavy, of course there are no feasts or celebrations during the Lenten season, and so our mind and body is prepared for this journey that we are making in the Lenten season of 40 days. It's like a pilgrimage. 40 days pilgrimage. Of course, there are some people who really go on pilgrimage in the Lenten season. There are some who go walking pilgrimage. There are some also who go to the hills and perhaps what we call the way of the cross on the hills. That is, so many other chances are also there. But more than anything else, I think it's a time of our life, a season of our life, a time that we reflect about ourselves, about our relationship with God and others, and also our own disposition in order to be prepared for anything that God may decide. It's a type of surrender to the Lord. And the whole Lenten season, the color is of purple color, which is very meaningful, that a color of silence, a color of penance. And in this way, we prepare ourselves distantly for the Lenten season, and I am sure you will also prepare yourself with your bag and baggage that is there, mentally prepared that this is enough for me. I don't need anything more. I don't need to bother about so many things. Let me pass in peace these 40 days, which may define also the whole year, as it were. Perhaps for some, it could be the whole life also. I know of a particular person who went for a retreat during the Lenten season, and he keeps referring to me about that retreat he did in that Lenten season. Must have been a very impressive one. So perhaps God also will have something for you in your life. The second question is a little interesting but a bit disturbing also, because I agree with the question. Chatter or socializing loudly before and after Mass, especially during wedding masses and funeral services inside the church. Why does the parish priest or the assistant priest not inform those attending such services to observe or maintain silence? This is about the sanctity of the church. You know, I told you the first reading speaks about holiness. God is holy, and everything connected with God is holy. And therefore our churches also are to be maintained as places of holiness, of decorum. And so the question is very genuine, because I have also seen in many churches when the weddings take place, when the programs are there, when perhaps people are just sort of talking, and sometimes there is no respect for the Blessed Sacrament. Sometimes you might accuse me that I am also reason for this, because I know that sometimes people want to honor me because I have come for confirmation, I have come for this, and they want to put a shawl, they want to put a garland, etc., which I feel very embarrassed, because I know that I am in front of the Blessed Sacrament and I shouldn't be getting this honor because I am nowhere in front of the Blessed Sacrament. But then some people don't understand. Some of our priests also, they say we don't get another occasion or perhaps another place. If there was a hall where we could have this program, where if there was outside where we could do this, and sometimes people just rush out, and therefore, Bishop, we have to do it in the church. I can understand small things. Even in the wedding, perhaps one photo that the couple wants to take in front of the altar, because this is the altar, this is the church that their wedding took place, and they would like to look at it and perhaps remember their wedding ceremony. But then groups of photos and people climbing up the steps and the sanctuary and this side and that side, I think this is too much. And therefore we have to put a stop somewhere. And I would be happy if the parish priest and the assistant parish priest tell the people that we have to keep up the decorum of the church, the sanctity of the church as much as possible. I shall also try to make it a point to the others, and you have to excuse me when I myself am involved in these things, but I can tell you I am not doing it happily. But I can understand the priest's sentiments and the people's sentiments to be of little paying some courtesies to me or perhaps some other people. I would say we can do it in a limited way, but not use the church as an open celebration type of activities or programs that disturb the decorum, the silence and the holiness of the church. I wish you a very happy Lenten season that begins on Wednesday. We call it Ash Wednesday. And ash means, everything is reduced to ash. And ash has no value. So also everything comes to an end, and everything perhaps can become ashes in our own life, and therefore dust you are, and unto dust you shall return are the words that the priest uses. Also the other words in order to remind us of the Lenten season that begins on Ash Wednesday. Thank you.
My dear friends, I'm sure you have witnessed the shepherd's voice which is being presented by our beloved Archbishop, Most Reverend Dr. Peter Machado, the Archbishop of Bangalore, who takes so much of interest and concern in order to bring the various topics, the contextual aspects, in order to inform, educate, and catechize all of us, the priests, the religious, and faithful of this vast archdiocese. And I'm sure you are enjoying this program, Shepherd's Voice, and I request each one of you to share with your other colleagues, friends, and family and relatives, near and dear ones, so that everyone in this archdiocese can be more closer to listen to the Archbishop on this Shepherd's Voice, the weekly feature. My dear friends, as I've always told, that this is a wonderful platform wherein we can connect to the shepherd of this archdiocese, wherein he brings in the interesting topics in order to increase our devotion and love towards God, and also to know the spiritual matters that concerns our faith. In a very special way, you are most welcome to ask your questions, queries, and you can send them to us at archdblr@gmail.com, and you will also see our mobile number in and through which you can connect with our media center, Ave Studios, and the Archdiocesan Communication Center. Please do write to us your feedback, your opinions. Thank you. Continue to watch and continue to share with others.